Okay, good evening, everyone. Yeah, welcome to our online class for SBR. And before we start, please confirm you can hear me so that we can start straight away. All right, thank you very much, Ma. We are welcome once again. Good evening, everyone. And we are going to start. I think we are about 3 minutes behind the schedule. We're just trying to wait for some of our colleagues to also join. So hopefully they will join us in between the class. All right. 2 weeks ago, we started group accounting. And this week, we are going to possibly commence group conclude group accounting. That's a complex side of the group accounts. And we'll be having foreign subsidiary left, and of course, our group cash flows. But before we go into that, we need to look at some complex group accounts when it comes to step acquisition and disposal of our subsidiary, and of course, control to control scenarios before we say bye-bye to complex group account when it comes to ACC, SBR. Okay, so we have before us, like we said, when there's a change in the group structure, and I've tried to lay some foundation so we won't struggle when we come here. Then we also look at acquisition of subsidiary, that's step acquisition. For example, I have associates, maybe I have just 40% interest in a company, then I acquire additional 20%. I have control. So what will be the accounting treatment? Then we also look at disposal scenarios. Either I do full disposal or partial disposal. Okay, so we're also going to find out, but obviously, we won't be able to consume everything today because I want to take it so slowly so that we can really understand, because this aspect is going to be number one in SBR exams and even ICANN exams. Okay. So we also look at control to control scenarios. Group reorganization does not really come up. I've never seen it in any past exam before, but of course, I'll just probably show you some highlights in case it comes up. Okay. So let's start straight away. So let's look at acquisition of subsidiary. Okay. So normally we have two types. You can acquire during the year, and that's what we call media acquisition. Now the questions have been seen, we acquire at the beginning of an accounting period. So what happens if I acquire mid-year? That's straightforward. I consolidate all of my balance sheets. That's the item in the statement of financial position. I'm going to consolidate them. I can't start dividing assets. But when it comes to profit or loss account, I have to consolidate from the date that I acquire. For example, let's say my accounting year is January to December 2014, for example, and I acquire 1st July 2014. That is mid-year acquisition. So when I'm consolidating revenue, I have to prorate, okay? I have my own revenue as a parent. So when I'm consolidating the revenue of the subsidiary, I will have to prorate, okay? So for example, if it is 1st July, that should be 6 months. So I'll say 6/12 multiplied by that figure, okay? So that's mid-year acquisition. Another accounting implication there is, how do I determine my pre-acquisition profit and post-acquisition profit? If I acquire at the beginning of the year, the examiners tell me straight up that the retained earnings after the acquisition is maybe $3,000, okay? Then I will go into my financial position as at the year end to look at the retained earnings of subsidiary. For example, it could be $15,000. So that means that $3,000 has grown to $15,000 from date of acquisition to the date of consolidation. Then the difference is post-acquisition profit. That is quite straightforward if it's the acquisition was done at the beginning of the year. But how do I get my pre-acquisition and post? at the middle of the year if acquisition is done mid-year. Okay, so we're going to find out. We use this question to illustrate that. But the most important thing you need to know here is that balance sheet items are consolidated fully. Okay, but when it comes to statement of profit or loss account and other comprehensive income, you are going to consolidate from when control or when acquisition is obtained. It could be March, it could be June. Just consolidate. You have to prorate. So that's the idea around the media acquisition. Then from there we go to step acquisition. So let's take a look at this question. So obviously, our normal approach is I will not look at every aspect of the question because we are taking a look at all those aspects when we did the basic group accounting. So I'll just look at the new aspect that I am introducing, and if the need arise, I'll go to the marker board to do some, technical explanation around that. So here, what I'm interested in is the two stuffs that I've explained. How do I consolidate my profit or loss account, and what happens to my pre and post acquisition profit? So that's the only thing I will use this question to, demonstrate. So obviously, we should be able to handle every other stuffs in there. So let's take a look. It said on 1st July 20x4, Tudor purchased 1.6 million of $2 million $1 equity shares of Windsor for 10 million. Okay. Now here, the examiner did not give me the percentage of shareholding. Okay. So I simply divide. So I just say, how many did I buy? 1.6 million divided by 2 million, multiply by 100. Obviously, I will have my percentage control. Okay. So you can just do that on your calculator. Please let your calculator be by your side so that we can be on the same page. So I'm also trying to press my calculator. So that is a 80% control. On same day, it acquired 1 million of Windsor $1 10% loan notes. At the date of acquisition, the retained earnings of Windsor were 6,150. Okay, so that was the retained earnings when it acquired on 1st July 20 X4. How will I know that this is a media acquisition? I simply go to let me look at the requirement. It said, prepare consolidated statement of consolidated statement of profit or loss account for Tudor, for the group, for the year ended 31st March 20, 20x5. Did you see that? Okay. Normally, if I am consolidating 31st March, that means the beginning of the accounting period would have been 1st April 20x4. Okay. And I will now ask, did I acquire as at that date? When did I acquire? Sorry, I actually acquired 1st July during the year. April, May, June, 3 months it's gone. Then I acquire 1st July. So that means when I'm consolidating, I will do 9/12 multiplied by the subsidiary figures in the statement of profit or loss account. Now I've said it, we consolidate fully when it comes to the statement of financial position. But when it comes to the statement of profit or loss account, you are going to prorate because this is mid-year acquisition. Okay, now, so let's look at, it said there were no items of OCI. Okay, now it said the fair values of Windsor net assets at the date of acquisition were equal to their carrying amount with the exception of plant, which had a carrying amount of $2 million, but had a fair value of 520. I'm pretty sure everybody listening to me should know how to handle this. So when I'm doing my net asset computation, I do the uplift. That should be 3.2 million, okay? Because this is a kind amount and 5.2. So I just do the uplift 3.2 million. And I ask, is there any remaining useful life? It tells me it's 4 years. So I divide that figure by 4 so that I can have my excess depreciation. Okay, and he said depreciation is charged to cost of sales and is time apportioned on a monthly basis. Now, during the post-acquisition period, Tudor sold goods to Windsor for 12 million. Okay, the goods had an original cost of 9 million. Okay, Okay. Okay. Now, during the remaining months of the year, Windsor sold 10 million at cost to Windsor, and this of these goods to third parties for 13 million. Okay. All right. So we need to also eliminate unrealized profit there. Now, this 12 million is intragroup sales, so you have to eliminate it within your cost of sales. All right. Then the unrealized profit. How do we do that? Now, I'm going to tell you when we get there. I'm going to show you that. So this 12 million, what's it called? It said during the post-acquisition, you sold goods 12 million, okay? The goods that originally cost 9 million, okay? That originally cost 9 million. And Windsor sold 10 million. During the remaining months, Windsor sold 10 million of these goods to third party for 13 million, okay? So I'm going to solve that for you. Now, income and expenses accrued evenly throughout the year, okay? And so what I'm trying to tell us is even profit accrue evenly throughout the year. So normally for a what's it called, a media acquisition, it's always assumed that income, profit, expenses accrue evenly throughout the year. That's every month. Now, Tudor has a policy of valuing non-controlling interest using full goodwill. So when you see that, I'm sure you know what is happening there. So that means the goodwill is attributed to both the parent and the subsidiary. That's the NCI, okay? And of course, the fair value of non-controlling interest at the date of acquisition was 2.5. So they've already given me the fair value of non-controlling interest. I just use it straight. If I'm not giving, they'll give me the market price of the subsidiary, okay? So I multiply with the shares of the subsidiary, they multiply by the percentage of holding of the NCI, okay? So what I'm giving here, so we have discussed all of that. Now, so the recoverable amount of net assets of Windsor at the reporting date is 14.1. So once I'm giving the recoverable amount of net assets, that means I use it to compute impairment for goodwill. Remember, I use it to compute impairment for my goodwill. So I look at the recoverable amount, the net assets at acquisition, then I look at recoverable amount, at reporting date to see whether goodwill has been impaired. So in answer, I should prepare consolidated statement of financial position. Okay, so that's it. So the only thing that I'm going to explain here more into details is the what's it called? The unrealized profits, okay, because I can see some complications there. And what's the second one? How do I get my post and pre-acquisition? Post and pre-acquisition. Now, he said when I acquire, he had already told me, he said at the date of acquisition, the retained earnings was this figure. Okay, so it was 6.1. So how do I know my pre? Normally, if I needed to know my pre, I simply go to my retained earnings in my balance sheet. But obviously, I was not giving balance sheets here. So how do I know my retained earnings? I look at profit for the year. Can you see that? Profit for the year and the retained earnings I brought forward. I add it together. So this becomes my post-acquisition. Is that okay? So that should be 8.4. And I remove it from what's it called, 6,150. The difference is my post-acquisition profit. It's as simple as that. Okay, so let me just quickly show you that. I don't think there's any technicality around here. Okay. Okay, so you could see the solution here. So my net assets, how do I do my net assets? I simply look at my equity, my retained earnings, okay? And is it the fair value uplift? Can you remember? Okay, so this is what you have here. Equity is in the question. Let me try to find out. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to add this. Okay, sorry. Okay, now, so we have the equity at acquisition date, then we have the retained earnings. So this is what I was talking about here. Let me show you. So this is the 5-4. So this is my retained earnings, the 5-4, and the 3,000 profit for the year. Okay. So I had it to have total retained earnings at the end of the year. So obviously, this retained earnings brought forward is taken from the previous accounting year, okay, into this year. So what goes into my balance sheet will be that retained earnings plus the profit for the current year. So that's my total retained earnings. And the examiner already told us that at the point of acquisition, our retained earnings is 6.15, okay, 6.15. So when you remove the difference, you have your post-acquisition profit. Then this is the fair value of PPE, okay? So everybody can do that. Then depreciation, just, I think it said 4 years. So if you apply 4 on this, then you have this 600. So that's how we got the 11,350 for net asset at acquisition. So normally, if I am doing my goodwill, okay? If I am doing my goodwill, computation. That's what when you're doing your cost of investment to get your goodwill. Okay. But in this question, how do I compute my goodwill? So you already told me that consideration is 10.2 and fair value of NCI was also given to be 2.5 so that I can have 12.8. Then fair value of net asset at acquisition, which is 11.350 that we just seen. So I have goodwill on acquisition. So this is my goodwill on acquisition. Now, because the examiner, if you look at the requirement, part of the, what's it called? The additional information, it gives me a recoverable amount of net assets to be 14.1. So that tells me that I will compute impairment. So don't always expect the examiner to say, goodwill has been impaired, and these are the recoverable amount and all of that. So once we're giving the recoverable amount of net asset, although it said further here, any goodwill impairment should be taken to administrative expenses, that's fine. It's just telling me how it should be treated. Even if it's silent, you take it to administrative expenses. In some cases, you can ask you to take it to cost of sales, okay? So once, since it has given me the recoverable amount of the net asset, obviously I'm going to compute goodwill. So what do I do? Now, goodwill impairment. What do? I simply look at net assets at consolidation. We have done this, but let me say it again. Net asset at consolidation, because two things here. There's goodwill at acquisition. That's what we know in our FR days, okay? That's what we know. But here, or sometimes, even in FR days, they can give you impairment. So when you remove that impairment from goodwill at acquisition, it gives you goodwill at consolidation, okay? Now, so when I'm now doing goodwill impairment, remember, I have to impair at the end of the reporting period. Obviously, it's going to be at my consolidation. So what do? What is my net assets at consolidation? Is here. That's what you have computed here. Can you see? Now, but if I'm computing the value of the goodwill, it has to be measured at the acquisition according to IFRS 3, if you remember. So that's why when I want to do my goodwill and I say cost of investment, NCI, I add it together, I get total investment, then the fair value of net asset acquired has to be at acquisition. So that's how you use 11,350 earlier like I showed you. But when I'm not doing the impairment side, okay, I have to use the net asset at consolidation, this 13,000. So that's what we have here, okay? Then the goodwill that I got earlier, I add it together so that I have a recoverable amount of net assets, all right? That which is 14,450. So it now tells me in the question to say the recoverable amount at that date is actually 14,150. So that means there's an impairment of 300. Then I ask, how do you want me to treat this impairment? It's going to tell me. It says, Tudor had a policy of valuing NCI interest using full goodwill. So that means I will share it between the parent and the NCI because it's full. If it is proportionally share, it's only the parent that will consume. So when I'm doing my retained earnings, I just put it up there. That's a group retained earnings. Okay, so that's the way you do your impairments. So you need to understand that. Okay, so let me find out any more difficulty. Yeah, the unrealized profit. So I've explained excess depreciation. So everybody should be able to tackle that. Then, okay. So let me look at unrealized profit. So let's go back to that question, unrealized profits. Okay, he said during the post-acquisition period, Tudor sold goods worth 12 million. Okay, to Windsor. Okay, so it's the parent that is selling, right? Okay, who is the parent? Okay, Tudor. So it's the parent. That's downstream, right? Okay, so fine. Then the goods had originally cost 9 million. So that means I actually bought it for 9 million. So I sold it for 12. Now, during the remaining month of the year, Windsor sold 10 million to third party. Okay. So I bought it for 12 and I sold 10 to third party. That means 2 million remain in inventory. Do you agree with me? In answer of these goods to third party for 30 million. Okay. So now listen, let me just explain. I said, normally what we are used to is they will say on cost, on margin. If it's on cost or 50%, just say 50 over 150. If it's on margin, just apply that margin percent on the sales. So you get your realized profit and all of that. But here, he did not tell me that. So what do we do? Now, I said, during the post-acquisition period, Tudor sold goods to Windsor for $12 million. Okay, and the goods had originally cost 9 million. So I'm still coming to 9 million. Now, during the remaining month of the year, Windsor sold 10. So we actually sold 10. Okay, so we sold 10 of these goods to third party for 13 million. So we sold 10. So I received 12 million, and I sold 10 million. So that means I have 2 million left. Okay, so that's what you have here. Let me show you that. Can you see? So I have 2 million left. So that means 2 million of that sales remain in inventory. And we said for a parent, for a group account or the parent and subsidiary, they can't make profit from each other. All intra-group transactions should be eliminated. Okay, so 2 million is remaining in the inventory. Is that okay? Now, how do I now know the profit element of this 2 million naira? Okay, I'll now go back. How much, I actually sold it for them for 2 million, okay, at the cost of 9 million. Did you see that? So at the cost of 9 million. So I simply say 12 minus 9 million. So that's what we have here. That's what we have here. Then multiply by that 2 that is remaining over 12. That's the total sales. So that's how we have 500,000. So this 500,000 is a profit that remain, has a profit element that remain in inventory, and it has to be eliminated. Okay, so that's what you are doing there. Okay, so, and then normally for you to get your NCI, what do you do? For you to get your NCI, what do you do? Listen, for my profit or loss account, the way we get NCI for balance sheet is quite different. I look at NCI at fair value. If it's measured at fair value, if it's proportionally share, I pick out the figure from my goodwill computation. Okay, then I share post-acquisition retained earnings. If there's any impairment, if there's unrealized profit and all of that, I share it. Okay, so that I can have my NCI in my statement of financial position. But when I come to what's it called, profit or loss account, let me show you something here. When I come to profit or loss account, after I have computed my account, this profits for the year, I need to share it between the parent and the NCI. Okay, so I think I've told you here why we are doing 9/12, if you remember. Okay, so because it's mid-year acquisition. Well, let me quickly explain profit for the year. How do I share it? So this amount has to be shared between parent and the NCI. So all you need to do is to first get the figure, how much is attributable to NCI. The balancing figure goes to the parent. And for me to know the NCI, what is attributable to NCI, I will go to my account and pick the profit figure. Okay, sorry. I'll go to that account and pick the profit figure. So if you go to the question, let me go back to the question here. How much is the profit for the year? That is of that subsidiary, it is 3,000. But remember, this is mid-year acquisition. So I prorate it. It will be 9/12 multiplied by 3,000. So when I do that, I will have 2,250. Is that okay? I will now ask, is there any excess depreciation? Is there impairment charges? Okay, I remove it from there. So we have this depreciation and of course impairment. Okay, now listen. be with me here. If the subsidiary is selling to the parent, you will also remove unrealized profits. Remember, if it is upstream, it will be borne by both the parent and the NCI. But in this question, it is the parent that is selling to the subsidiary. That's why unrealized profit is not removed. So you need to understand that, okay? So that's why I have to use a whole of 3 days to take you back on basic group accounting, okay? So if the parent is selling, it's only the parent that bears the unrealized profit, okay? But because if the subsidiary is now selling, and if the subsidiary is selling, both the parent and the NCI will share that unrealized profit based on proportion of their shareholding. So in this question, the parent sells, that's the downstream sector. So it's only the parent that pays. So that's why when you look at here, you only have excess depreciation and the goodwill impairment. Okay, and why is even goodwill coming here? Be with me here again. It is because it is full goodwill. That's why NCI is also sharing. Okay, it's because it is full good. If it is proportionate share, goodwill will not feature here at all. Remember, I want to value NCI. I want to know the profits that goes to NCI from that profit figure. So I remove it. I will now have 1.3. Then I apply that percentage, okay, of NCI on the 1.3. So I can have this 270. Then I now go back. I go back here. Sorry. So I come back here. Can you see? I will now say NCI 2.7. Remember, I am sharing this 9925. So the balancing figure goes to the parent company. It's as simple as that. So what this question has taught us is mid-year acquisition, how to identify or to determine my post-acquisition profit, because I did not acquire at the beginning of the year. And I also take a step to also take you how to compute your NCI. That is how to share the profit for the year between the parent and the subsidiary. And also clarify some technicalities around that unrealized profits. So all you just need to do is to now consolidate together. Okay, so if you look at this 60,000 is the parent amount. Okay, then this 24 is the subsidiary, but you have to prorate because it is media acquisition. This is the intra-group sales. It has to be eliminated. Okay, so that means you will debit revenue and credit cost of sales. That's why you're having it here again. You debit revenue, credit cost of sales. So what are you doing? I am removing it from revenue. I'm also removing it from cost of sales. That's the meaning of elimination of intra-group sales. Okay, so this 600 should be that should be the excess depreciation, and of course this should be your intra-group what's called unrealized profit. So that's what you have. So you just consolidate, and all of that. So it's quite straightforward. So that's the technicality around there. Okay, so you can take a look at that in case you have questions. Okay, you can bring it on. It's actually very rare for the examiner to bring on mid-year acquisition, probably in ICANN, but I'm not sure in SBR, because in SBR, you won't even do this full accounts like this. Where's it? Yeah, you won't do this. It's going to be an extract, okay? It's going to be an extract. So most likely, all those adjustments is what you are doing the most, okay? So I'm still going to show you what I expected to do, okay? Now, so that is mid-year acquisition. So I've told you what the major issue around that. Now, let's now go to step acquisition. So this is what to expect. This is your main exam from your number one. So I'm going to take you step acquisition. What happened? There's a pro forma for that. Anytime you are solving it, once you are able to determine that this is what they also call piecemeal acquisition, okay? But in ACC, they like calling it step acquisition. Maybe now I can hear something like piecemeal acquisition. Even I can you see how all this subsidiary and all of that. This shape is not in ACC. This is quite straightforward. Okay, now, so we have step acquisition. What does that mean? For example, like I said earlier, I have 40% equity interest in a company. Normally I apply as 28. That is investment in associates and joint venture. Then at a particular date or at another date, I acquire 20%. That's what they call step acquisition. And I obtain control from that date. How do I account for that? That's what we are looking into. Now, normally any pre-existing equity interest in an entity, you apply three things. You look at is it simple investment? For example, I have between 1% and 19%. I apply simple investment, that's IFRS 9. If I have between 20 and 50%, that's IFRS 28. Investment in associates and joint venture. Then sometimes I can apply IFRS 11. That's joint. If I have joint arrangement or joint control and joint venture, remember? Okay, now at the date control is obtained, listen here. When it comes to step acquisition, when I obtain control, everybody knows what control is now, okay? Apart from some exceptions around that, once I have more than 50%, I have demonstrated control for the purpose of the exams, okay? Even though, because this is SBR, the examiner might pick you up to say, it's not all the time that having more than 50% control or 50% equity interest in a company can demonstrate control. In accordance with IFRS 10, explain what it meant by control. Now I've told you, IFRS 10 says when the investor has power over the investee, okay, and it's entitled to variable returns and all of that. Can you remember? And it has the power to influence those variable returns. We did that under our basic group accounting. So we're going to revise that. So you can decide to pick you up. But normally, once I have more than 50%, I already have control. So when I have control, what happens? Remember, piecemeal acquisition or step acquisition. Let's say I'm coming from, let's say I have 15% equity interest. All of a sudden, I purchased 40%, then I moved to 65%. Abi? 40 plus 15, sorry, 55%. Okay. Yeah. So I have control already. Okay. Now what happens? The standard says that you must remeasure the previously earned equity interest to fair value. Okay. So for example, I have let's say 35%. Okay. So that's a previous equity interest that I'm holding in that company. I have to remeasure it to fair value. Once I have control, then I will recognize any gain or loss in profit or loss account. Okay. So I'm going to show you all of that, how it works. Okay. But you need to learn that. Then I will now have to calculate goodwill and NCI at either partial or full basis. I'm sure everybody's conversant with that. Is either I use full goodwill method or proportionate share of net asset acquired to compute my goodwill and NCI. Okay. So let me say that again. Three things will happen once I obtain control. Three things. So you need to understand. Three things will happen once I obtain control. I am coming from non-control scenario to a control scenario, okay? I will have to remeasure the previously earned equity interest to their fair value, okay? Then gain and losses are recognized in a profit or loss account, okay? Then I have to calculate goodwill and NCI either at a full basis or partial basis. So that's what is happening. Then you have to know this pro forma in your head. Okay, you have to know it in your head. I'm going to run it first. I will now tell you a trick. You actually know this pro forma before. You actually know it. I'll show you. Now, number one, you have to go and look at fair value of previously earned interest, equity interest, right? That's what I just said. That means to remeasure previously held equity interest. So you look at the fair value of previously held interest, then look at the fair value of consideration for additional interest. So for example, I have 35 and I'm buying 20 more. Okay, so that would be 35 plus 20, 55. So that 20 I'm buying, I'm not buying for free now, I'll pay. So fair value of consideration for additional interest. Then I do my NCI at acquisition. You know, my NCI, I will now have NCI now because I'm coming from non-control to control. So what is the NCI at acquisition? I have a figure, that's my total investment. Then I remove, less fair value of net assets at acquisition so that I can have my goodwill. Well, that sounds similar or familiar. So now, this pro forma, if you look at it properly, that is what we actually use to compute our goodwill, right from basic group accounting. Remember, when we are computing goodwill, we say consideration, add NCI, after that investment, then I remove fair value of net asset acquired, then I have my goodwill. Remember? That's what we are doing. The only addition is this. The only addition is this. Fair value of consideration for additional interest. You are familiar with every other content in that pro forma. That's the only thing. You're familiar with every other stuff that is there. So the only thing is because I am now obtaining control. If I don't have control, I don't do goodwill. Initially, right? So I don't do goodwill on that. Do we do goodwill on that investment in associates? Obviously, no. I'm only showing the kind amount of my investment and share of profit from associates. Okay, so what is coming up here is fair value of consideration for additional interest, which the examiner will always give you. Okay, so I add it up and I go to my NCI, fair value of net asset acquired at acquisition, then I get my goodwill. That's it. Okay, so that's it. So let me just look at this note under here. It said, if there has been remeasurement of any previously held equity interest that were recognized in the other comprehensive income, any changes in fair value be taken to retain earnings, then purchasing further shares. Now listen, this is very key. Purchasing further shares in a subsidiary after control has been acquired. For example, taking the group interest from 60% to 75% is regarded as transaction between equity holders. Goodwill is not recalculated. Goodwill is computed when I have control. Okay, so if I have 60% equity interest in a company and I increase it to 75%, goodwill is not recalculated. That is what we call control to control scenarios. I'm going to take you that tomorrow. I will not bother you with that today. Okay, so let me finish off with step acquisition. Then I'm sure time is going to permit me. I will take you through disposal. At least let me start disposal of subsidiary, even if we did not complete it, but I think we should be able to complete it. But if you don't complete it, that's not a problem. Okay, at least I've dedicated this week for complex group accounts. So what we have left is just two when it comes to group accounting: the group cash flows and foreign subsidiary. I won't spend enough time in foreign subsidiary. Have I taken you as 21? Yeah, I should have taken you as 21. So just look at the last part of IS21. Okay, so that's quite straightforward. Two issues on foreign subsidiary. How do you account for your profit and goodwill? Because goodwill has to be computed in the functional currency. So we're going to find out when we get there. Okay, now, so because it's a control to control scenario, all right, I will not calculate goodwill. So this situation, okay, so we'll deal with that. Okay, so, but we are going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to show you. But my class, please, you have to be able to close your eyes and know this pro forma, okay? So when I'm dealing with step acquisition, otherwise known as piecemeal acquisition, that means I don't have control and I have control. Three things will happen. I will have to remeasure the fair value of previously equity interest held in that entity, okay, to their fair value, okay? I will remeasure the previously held equity interest to their fair value. Any gain and losses is recognized in profit or loss. Then goodwill and NCI are calculated either at full or partial basis. It's as simple as that. Okay, then in my head, I already know that the first thing is fair value of previously held interest, fair value of consideration for additional interest. That's the introduction. You're already familiar with our stuffs there. Then equity, NCI at acquisition. I remove my fair value of net assets at acquisition and goodwill. In fact, I can bet it with you. The examiner will always give you fair value of net assets at this level. Nobody will bother you start doing equity, be looking for return earnings up and down. They won't bother you with that because there's so much, a lot to really deal with. So they won't bother you with that. So let's look at this question. Let's look at this question to demonstrate our understanding. To start, let me use this question to start. Okay, so we have so many questions to take a look into. Aya, is it Aya, right? Aya Flair Brunner has owned 90% of ordinary share of Flair for many years. Aya also has 10% investment, in buying, 10%, which was held in the consolidated statement of financial position as at December 31, 2006 at $24,000 in accordance with IFRS 9. Oh, brilliant. So he has 10% that they measure in line with IFRS 9. On 30th June 2021, I acquired a further 50%. Did you see? Step acquisition. I have 10% before. Now I acquire additional 50%. I have control. I already control Flyer, if you remember. Is it Flyer? Okay, so don't mind my pronunciation. At least you understand what I'm saying, right? Sorry. So I already control Flyer, okay, because I have 90%. But at that date, I had 10% in buying, but now in June 2007, I now acquire 50%. So we're given the financial statement. So that said, the non-controlling interest is calculated using the fair value method. On 30th June, the fair values were as follows. So buying identifiable net asset, I told you, they always give you. Now, non-controlling interest, then the original 10% interest in the 26,000. Okay. Look at period consolidated estimate of financial profit or loss for the year. Is it profit or loss? Oh, wow. Okay. For the year, for Aya Group for the year ended 31st December 2007, and calculate the goodwill arising on acquisition. Oh, brilliant. Now, you see, I think this is a combination of mid-year acquisition and, of course, step acquisition. Why is it mid-year? Now, look at the balance sheet or the requirement. It said for the year ended. Can you see? For the year ended 31st December. And I acquire, let me see, on 30th June. Can you see? I acquired the second subsidiary. It's something, you should be thinking of something here by now, okay? You should be thinking of something. That means I will consolidate Flair fully because I already have control earlier. Then when I come to buying, when I'm consolidating, I only consolidate, let me say June, and the end of the year is December. That's 6 months, yeah. So I consolidate for 6 months. That would be July to December, okay? I told you, when it comes to profit or loss, you have to prorate. If it is mid-year, if it is the balance sheet, you don't prorate, okay? It doesn't really matter. You can't be dividing assets. Asset is asset, okay? So that's it. So that is what we are doing there, okay? So when I'm consolidating. But that is not the main issue for this question. The main issue is, how do I compute my goodwill for buying? Because this is a step acquisition. Okay, let me go to my drawing board. I'm sure you have I'm not sure whether you're using your phone or device, but please put your eye on this question. Okay, I only need this information here. I need this information. This information, all those ones that I highlighted, to go into my drawing board. So let me see if we can do that to demonstrate step acquisition. Okay, to demonstrate step acquisition. So let's see if I can locate my what's it called? My drawing board. Okay, so 1 second, please. Is it my drawing board, Seth? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, I think I found it. All right, yeah. My drawing board is here. Okay. Okay, so let me see whether I can try to compute that for you. I just want to solve it so that you can see the way it works. So everybody already know what we do around what's it called? Around media acquisition. Okay, so what do we do here? What do we do here? I would simply tell the examiner that this is a media acquisition. Okay, and as such, goodwill has to be computed when control is obtained. Okay, so we said we are going to remeasure the what's it called? Previously earned interest. They are going to remeasure it. That's the previously earned interest to their fair value, and gain and losses are recognized in the financial position. So I will tell the examiner to say, let me see what I can say here. I'll just tell the examiner to say, let me see, sorry. Okay. Sorry. I'm not used to the writing on this marker board. Let me just try. So I'll tell the examiner, okay, I can just say that to say this is a step acquisition, okay? And as such, any gain and losses will be recognized. That's after I've remeasured the previous interest held. Gain and losses are recognized in profit or loss account. But I needed to compute my, what's it called, goodwill, Abby? So I needed to compute my goodwill. So what do we do? So let's see. So I will say, goodwill. Okay. So how do we do my goodwill? So already, so I already have my, what's it called? My pro forma in my head. So I have my dollars here. Okay. So I can do that in 1,000. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. So I already have my dollar there. So I will now tell the examiner to say, if in my head, you just remember your pro forma to say fair value of previously held interests. Okay. How much is that from the question? The examiner will give me fair value. I have to remeasure it. When I buy it initially, I think it's 24. But he said when it was remeasured, it was 26. Okay. Now, I'll now say additional, what's it called? Interest. Okay. So it will give me. So when I'm buying the additional, how much is the interest? So the examiner is, what's it called? Is in the question, right? So sorry. Network. Okay. I've seen my marker. Now, so I'll now say fair value of consideration for additional interest. Okay. How much is that? That should be 160 from the question. Then I will say fair value, or let me say NCI at acquisition. So I'm just looking at my pro forma from my head. So in the question, it says, is that 100? Okay. So if I add up, that should be, is that 286? Okay. So obviously this is my, what's it called? Total investment. Okay. Where is the marker? Total investment. Okay. Now, I will now ask, what is the fair value of net assets? If you tell me, so it said fair value of net assets. How much is that? From the question, it said, let me see, why is this marker running away? Sorry. Marker's running away. in the surface. Okay, it's come back. So now it said 200. Okay, so this is the 200. So if I remove it, we have 86. So this 86 is my what's it called? It's my goodwill. Okay, so this 86 is my goodwill. So sorry, I'm trying to look for the. Okay, so that's goodwill. So don't mean the marker has run away. Okay, so that's my goodwill. Okay, so that's exactly what we're doing. So look at your pro forma. Remember, I'm using this question to build you. Okay, there could be some complications which we are going to get into. Okay, so but as this is just and no matter the complications, actually, this is a pro forma you are going to use. Okay, so let me go back to the slide. I think I'll have to restart that marker board. It's just doing a lot of fumbling there. Okay, so let me see if I can bring up what I did there from here. Sorry. Okay, yeah, this is it. So this is what I did over there. Can you see? That's exactly what you are doing. So look at fair value of previously earned interest. So let me see if I can pick it up from here. It said the original 10% investment that's previously held is 26. But remember that we measure it at 24. So when I revalue to that 26, there's a gain of $2,000. Okay, there's a gain of how much? $2,000. So where do I take that 2,000 to? I recognize it in the POS straight up. I debit investment and I credit profit or loss accounts. Okay, that's what I do straight up. Okay, so that's what I do straight up. So that is sorry, I'm trying to restart my board. Okay, so that it will work better. Okay, so that's what exactly what we did. You know, we said I told you that once it is step acquisition, three things will happen. You are going to remeasure the previously held interest to the fair value. That's what we have done. And any gain and losses is recognized in profit or loss accounts. Okay, so here the fair value, when we first account for that 10% is 24. Okay, then the original value we have to revalue to its fair value is now 26. So that 2,000 goes into my a profit or loss as a gain. So I debit it as part of investment. How did I debit it? How? Huh? That's the 26 we use it. So it's already debited in the investment. Did you see that? It's already debited. Okay. Now, then the fair value of additional interest. I just want to show you how what's it called? How those figures were gotten. Okay, so now said, I acquire further 50% of buying for 160. Can you see that? That's the fair value of additional interest. You know, I told you this is the only thing you've not learned. You have learned every other component in that pro forma. Okay, then I look at my NCI. Where's my NCI? He said 100. Did you see? If he has not computed it for me, my class, you can do that. It's either it's at fair value on what's it called? Proportionate share of net asset acquired. So I spent a lot of time, you know, showing you that in the previous weeks. Okay. So then I have my what's it called? Identifiable net asset acquired of 200. I remove it so that I have 86. It's as simple as that. So that's exactly what we have done here for my what's it called? For my goodwill. Okay. So there's no much complications there. So this is the revaluation of that fair value. So everybody already know how to do NCI profits attributable to NCI and parent. So you now go to your account and you start to consolidate. Can you see? So you consolidate fully for, what's the name? Is it buying? No, sorry. Let me see the name. Flyer. Okay, so you consolidate fully because I already have 90% control. Okay, then this other one I acquire at the middle of the year. So that's why it's being prorated. And that's the end of that illustration. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. I think I have okay. So we have one more question here. Question one. It said the statement of financial position of two entities, major and term, as at 31 December 20x1 is as follows. So we have major and term here. Okay. So it said major acquired 40% of term on December 31, 20x1 for $90. So if it is 40%, obviously this is not control. Okay. So this is investment in our associate. At this time, the retained earnings stood at 76. Okay. A further 20%. So you need to be taking notes. Okay. A further 40%, 20% was of shares of Tom was acquired by Major 3 years later for this amount. That's $70. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, sorry. Now, so a further 20% of shares in Tom was acquired by Major 3 years for this. Okay, so at that time, I obtained control. You didn't see the point. And once I obtain control, 3 things will happen. I've told you, okay? 3 things will happen. Number 1, I have to remeasure. Previously held interest to the fair value, okay? I recognize gain and losses in profit or loss. Goodwill and NCI are calculated either at partial or full basis. That's what comes to my head. And I remember my pro forma in my head, okay? Fair value of previously held equity interest. Fair value of consideration for additional interest. NCI at acquisition. Then I less fair value of net asset acquired. That's what I'm doing, okay? With that said, on this date, the fair value of existing holding in Tom was 105. So Tom retained earnings is 100 on the second acquisition. The NCI should be valued at proportionate share of net asset. That's brilliant. Required, prepare consolidated statement of financial position for Mayor Group. Okay, so this is also very very nice. Okay, but let me look at whether there is even a gain here. Initially, when we obtain control, we how much was the what's it called? The fair value. He said, okay, original fair value is 90. Can you see that? That's when we bought. That's the fair the previously held equity interest was 90. So when we bought additional, the fair value of existing was 105. So that means that's a gain. So that's a gain. So that gain is recognized straight up in the profit or loss account. So debit investment and credit profit or loss account. Is that okay? So that's what you are doing there. So that's it. So I already know that. Now, so let me also solve this for you. Please permit me, because this you won't escape this. If you escape this, you won't escape what's it called? Or what they call disposal. Okay, so it's either this or disposal. Obviously, you won't see the two at a time. It's either this or you see disposal. They said they want to complicate issues. Okay, so permit me to also solve this. I'll just apply that pro forma. So let's see whether I will be able to solve that. Okay. This is my marker, but please work very well now. So let me try to locate it. Sorry. I think I'll open it again. Where is it? Okay, I found it. Right. So let me see if I can. Okay. All right. So I believe you can see my screen. Okay. So I'll just do that workings again. Okay. So now it's good way that I'm trying to recompose, Abby. Okay. Let me see if I can do that. So I will say goodwill computation, okay, to get my goodwill. So what do? I needed 4 things actually, right? So I needed fair value of previously held interest. So I will say fair value of previously held interests. Okay. So from the question, how much is that? Was it fair value of previously held interest? I think it's 105 from the question. So you can take a look. You can be looking at the question in case I'm not picking the right figure, please let me know. Okay, so that's fair value of previously held interest. Then I will now take a look at fair value of what's it called? Consideration for additional interests. Okay, how much is that? So the additional that I bought, they already giving me the figure. They said it's 70,000. Okay, so then I look at my NCI. Okay, NCI at acquisition. Now, so this guy told me that NCI should be measured at proportionate share of net asset acquired. So that means I needed to say 20% because is it 20%? Is it 20? No. I have 40 first, then I acquire additional 20. Oh, sorry. So this should be 40%. Okay. So this should be 40%. Then multiply by the net asset acquired. Oh, and since I'm not doing fair value, so most like that's why the examiner did not give me the figure. So that means I need to now compute my net assets. So somewhere in my notes, I will now say workings. So I say net assets. Okay. I will say net assets. All right. So how do I do my net assets? I'm sure you remember. So I will say at acquisition and at consolidation or reporting date. So the first thing is my equity. Okay. So in my account, my equity is 100,000. Okay. I have 100,000. Okay. Then I will say retained earnings. Okay. How much is that for my question? Is it 100 as well, Abby? Yeah, 100. Then I'll now look at consolidation. So you look at the notes, balance sheet or whatever you're giving. So it's saying 122. Okay, so I don't have any other complications. So I had it up. Complications in sense of fair value measurement, unrealized profit, as the case may be. So I have 200. I have how much is this? That should be 2222. Okay. So the difference between these two is my post-acquisition profit. Obviously, that would be, how much is that? 22, right? Okay, 22. So this can be shared between NCI and the parent. Okay. So here, to now get my net asset at acquisition, I only need that information as at acquisition. So of 200. Did you see that? So if I apply 40%, I'm going to have what's it called? 80,000. Okay. So I can now decide to add this together. You know, I don't like using my head to do computations when it comes to exams. Even if it is 2 plus 2, I'll press calculator because it's an exam. Okay. So don't try to use your head, I beg, so that you get those figures as accurate as possible. So if I do that on my calculator, I have something like is it 255,000. Okay, so this is my total investment. Okay, so this is my total investment. So I will now say, what's my fair value of net assets, acquired. Okay, fair value of net asset acquired. So I've already computed it now. Is that not 200? Okay, so if I remove it, I will have, that should be 55. Okay, so this is 55. Okay, 55. This is 55 actually, not, it's looking like 65. So this is my good view. Okay, so that's it. So that's what you are doing there. Okay, so you can do your non-controlling interest, your group retainings, and all of that. So that's exactly what we are doing. I think this is interesting actually. Okay, so I think my handwriting is improving. Okay, so can you take a look at that? Even though you have the solution in your note over there, but it's also good that I'm trying to work it out so that at least you can recall in your memory how it is being done. Okay, so you can adopt your own way of going about that question. So you could see that we also apply the same approach. The only difference here is the way we have computed our NCI, because it's not our fair value, so we have to go somewhere else to do the workings and all of that. Okay, so please take note. So I can go back to my main slide, right? Okay, so let me find my main slide. Where are you? All right, so this is found. Okay, so let me show you what I did there. Let me show you what I just did there. Let's see, can I find that? Okay, yeah, that's it. All right, so this was the acquisition I did earlier. Can you see? So this is exactly what you are going to do. So we got this 55. Can you see that? Okay, so that's it. That's the only complications. That is the every other thing. We have checked them out. Okay, and remember, when you have to measure that fair value so that you have this gain. Okay, okay, so that's it. All right, any concern for me? Let me even ask you, do you have any question for me before I move on? Yeah, so before we go to disposal. So that's all about step acquisition. $60 seconds. Any question for me? Let's go through it. Go through it. Any concern? So I'll now go to disposal of subsidiary. You have about 3 scenarios around disposal. What is common? Okay, so quickly find out. Okay. Okay, so I want to believe there is no concern. So let's look at disposal. Let me see if I can just probably explain, and you can take a look. Okay, I think you should be able to take a look at 1 or 2 questions. Then I'll pick it up from there tomorrow by God's grace. Now, disposal is I can decide to dispose of my interest in a subsidiary. That means I sell it off. Okay, and there are about 3 possible scenarios. For example, I can decide to dispose all of my shares, in a subsidiary. I can dispose part of my shares, leaving some, that's a residual interest that will be measured as an associate. For example, I have control, say 60%, and I decide to sell parts. So when I sold, let's say I sold out of 60%, I sold 30%. I have 30% left. So that 30% I have left, I will apply as 28. Is that okay? I can also decide to sell part of my shares. It will not leave me with simple investment. For example, I have 60%. and I sold, let's say 35%. Okay, that's a 35%. Yeah. So, or let's say 45% or 40%, or 45 is even better. Yeah. Let me use 45%. So out of 60, I sold 45%, and I have 15 left. So that 15 that I have left, I'll account for it using financial instrument. That's simple investment. Apply price 9. Okay, so these are the 3 possible scenarios, that I can have. And the treatment of all of them are very similar. Okay, so we're still going to learn what's it called, pro forma in dealing with all those issues. Okay, so you have a lot of pro forma to actually learn. So that's why you need to really close your eyes and you know which of these pro forma will be applicable. We've learned one under piecemeal acquisition, and this is another one under disposal. Okay, now disposal is into 2. We have disposal in the individual financial statement. Those entities are operating separately, but because we are consolidating, we see them as one. So what happens if, as a parent company, I'm disposing of my subsidiary, either full disposal or partial disposal? What happens in my individual account? Then what happens when I'm consolidating? Okay, the examiner can pick you up on any of the 2, but if I look at my heartbeat, I'm thinking it's going to be consolidation. I don't think nobody bothers you around individual financial statement, but it doesn't matter. They can decide to just give some giveaway and ask you. So you still need to learn everything. So now, if I have any of the scenario that I said earlier, those 3 scenarios, I have full disposal, I don't have any interest left. I do partial disposal, but the interest I have left is an associate, or I also do partial disposal. The interest I have left is a simple investment where I apply price 9. Okay, so what happens? I look at sales proceed. I'm selling. How much did I get? From that selling? That's the disposal proceed or sales proceed. I will now remove the carrying amount of the shares sold. Okay, when at the day I'm selling, it has a carrying amount, okay, which is usually the cost. When I purchase it, that's the cost. How much did I buy it? Which is usually my cost, so I remove it. So it's tell me profit or loss on disposal. So once I sell it above the carrying amount, the carrying amount is 50 million. I sold it at 70 million. Obviously, I have profit on disposal. So normally, it could be reported as an exceptional item because it doesn't really occur every time. Okay, and that's been disclosed separately on the face of the parents' profit or loss account statement. Okay, and it could also have tax implication depending on the country of jurisdiction. So if the examiner wants to look at capital gains tax, they will give you the tax figure. Just apply it on whatever profit figure that you have gotten, and to increase the tax expense in that particular period. Okay, so I just have to know that in the individual financial statement, I'm only computing the profit or loss on disposal. And how do I do that? Sales proceed, carrying amount or shares sold, usually the carrying costs, okay, or the cost of their shares. That's all. That's what we are doing. Now, in the disposal, in the consolidated financial statement, okay, so when I am now consolidating, what happens? 3 things. 3 things will happen, okay? 1, you're going to consolidate all the incomes and expenses of the subsidiary up to disposal dates. Is that okay? Income and expenses of the subsidiary, at least I say I have control. So I consolidate up to disposal date. 2, on the disposal of the subsidiary, I will derecognize all asset, liability, goodwill, and NCI and calculate profit or loss on disposal. Does that make sense, right? So let me say that again. You are good when there is disposal of subsidiary, okay? There is disposal of subsidiary. What it means is I have lost control, okay? I have lost control. So what it means is either I have sold fully or partially. But the point is I have lost control. Is that okay? So that means I can sell from 60% and I have 40%. So I will consolidate the income and expenses of the subsidiary up to the date of disposal. Then I will derecognize. That's on the date of disposal of the subsidiary now. I have to, after I don't have control here. So I derecognize assets, liability, goodwill, NCI, and I calculate the profit or loss on disposal. Does that make sense, right? Then any remaining investments, I will recognize them actually in accordance with relevant accounting standard. That's it. Recognize any remaining investment in shares of the former subsidiary at their fair value, okay? And subsequently account for them with relevant accounting standard. I've said that earlier. So if I have 20%, 50%, that's associate. If I have below 20%, that is investment. That's financial instrument. So that's what I do. Okay. So I have another pro forma to learn. So I'm going to teach you this pro forma, then probably look at this illustration to demonstrate that. Then we'll close for today. At least go and learn those ones properly. So tomorrow, by God's grace, we continue with the next question. Then we'll go to control scenarios. And if you can finish tomorrow, fine. But if you cannot finish, we finish on Thursday. After all, I've dedicated this week, for complex group accounting. Okay. Now, for when control has been lost, okay, so that's disposal. We're going to use this template again. You look at disposal proceed, how much is coming in, okay? Then fair value of interest retained. What's the fair value? Remember, in the individual financial statement, I only look at two things: sales proceed, okay? Then the current amount of the share sold, which is the cost of the share sold. Then I look at my profit or loss on disposal. But when I'm consolidating the account and I've lost control, so I look at disposal proceeds, okay? Then fair value of interest retained. So for example, I'm still retaining 30%. What is the fair value? I add it up. I will now less interest in subsidiary disposed of. I will less interest in subsidiary disposed of. Now, when I remember that, three things comes to my mind. They are so simple. Look at the net assets of the subsidiary at disposal date. Look at the goodwill at disposal date. Then you now remove the NCI, the kind amount of NCI at disposal date. That's all. That's all. I go and remove it from the sales proceed and fair value of interest retained. Whatever I have will be my profit or loss on disposal. You have to be able to close your eyes and remember that pro forma. In fact, if you can remember the pro forma, the other stuffs are small, because once you are good on the basic group accounting, that foundation, you will not struggle, okay? You will not struggle. So when I'm consolidating on disposal of subsidiary, I remember 5 things, okay? That will be my content. I will have to prepare profit or loss to the group on disposal. I remember disposal proceeds. I add it up with fair value of interest retained in the subsidiary, in the company, no longer my subsidiary actually. Okay. Then I will now remove, that means less interest in subsidiary disposed of. So when I'm lessing, I think about 3 things. I just remember in my head: net asset, goodwill, and NCI. That's all. Net asset, goodwill, NCI. Net asset, goodwill, NCI. So that's the net asset at disposal date, because the examiner will give you net assets at consolidation or at reporting date. So you need to understand, so what is my net asset at the date of disposal? In fact, it will also give you net asset at acquisition. Yeah, net asset at acquisition. That's not what I'm using. So I'm using net asset at disposal. Remember, I told you that once there is disposal, 3 things will happen. Can you remember? I told you up here before we come here, you consolidate all income and expenses up to disposal date. Then on disposal of subsidiary, you have to recognize assets, liability, income, NCI, and of course, goodwill. Okay. So the goodwill at disposal, that means you need to complete your goodwill before you come and put in the figure here. And we have done a lot of computations on goodwill. Now less the carrying amount of NCI at disposal date. So whatever figure you have, you bring it on here. You compare with this figure, Once it's lower, it gives you profit on disposal. If it is higher, that is a loss on disposal. Okay, so let me use a question, the next illustration to demonstrate this, then I'll pick it up from there in our next class by God's grace. Okay, so let's look at this question. Let's look at this question. Rock. Okay, sorry. Let's look at this question. Rock has held a 70% investment in Dog for 2 years. Goodwill has been calculated using a full goodwill method. There have been no goodwill impairment to date. Rock disposes of all of its shares in Dog. The following information has been provided. So they're giving cost of investment, blah, 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 required. Calculate the profit or loss on disposal in Rock individual financial statement, then in the consolidated financial statement. Okay, so how do I know that this is disposal? Let's find out. He said, Rock disposes of all of its shares in Dog. Can you see? This is disposal of subsidiary. So when I have disposal of subsidiary, then two things come to my mind. The examiner wants me to do this disposal on individual financial statement or consolidated financial statement. If it is individual financial statement, what happens? I look at sales proceed, then I look at the kind amount of the shares disposed. Okay, I look at the kind amount of the shares that were sold, usually the costs. All right. If it is consolidated financial position, I look at 5 things. What is my disposal proceed? Do I have fair value of shares retained? In this question, obviously no, because what's it called? Fair value of the fair value of shares retained is 0 here because I didn't retain anything. I sold everything. I will now less interest in the subsidiary disposal. Remember, I told you I just check net assets, goodwill, NCI. Is that okay? So I look at net assets at disposal date. It's going to give me, okay? He said it's going to give me net assets at disposal date. So we're going to find out, okay, our net asset at disposal. Can you see net asset at disposal already giving me? Then I look at goodwill at disposal. Did he give me goodwill at disposal? If he did not give me, I will have to compute my goodwill. Okay. Then I also look at the kind amount of NCI. If he did not give me the kind amount of NCI, okay, it said fair value of NCI at acquisition is 800. That is at acquisition. But what is my NCI at disposal date? We are going to also find. That's what we are doing. Okay, that's what we are doing. So let me try to see if I can do that on the marker board. Then we call it a day. Okay. Let me see if I can do that for you. Okay, I have to look for my board again. Okay, okay, I found the board. All right, so I have to clean off, right? Let's see if I can do that right away. Okay, so the board is clean. All right. Okay, so where's my pen? Okay, so let's see what we are doing here. So we are on, let's say, Rock. We are on Rock, right? Okay, so the first thing is individual financial statements. Okay. All right. All right. Why am I writing this everything in full? Should I have said it first? Okay. So it's very straightforward, right? Okay. So I'll just say sales proceed. Okay. How much is that from the question? We can remember. That's $3,000. Right. Then I look at costs of shares sold. Okay, so what was the cost? That's the kind amount. So it's going to be given. I think they said 2,000. So I have how much here? 1,000. Okay, so that is profit on disposal. Okay, so that's very straightforward in the individual financial statement. So they will always give you that. Does that make sense, right? Okay, so that's what you asked me to do in the part A of that question. Then part B of the question, now I said it earlier, I don't think the examiner can bring this up. Instead, he just want to give you some free marks. So what you bother about is the consolidated financial position. So let me clean up the board again so that I can have enough space to do part B of the question. So let's take a look at the part B. Okay, oh, sorry, let me even use another color. So let me see whether my board can bring on another color. Okay, so we say rock. Ah, brilliant. Okay, so this is consolidated FX. Okay, so what do we do here? So I have here. Okay, now I remember my performer. I'm just applying my performer here. So I will say disposal proceeds. All right. So the question it told me is 3,000. Okay, so that's my disposal proceed. And I say fair value of interest retained. Okay. Fair value of interest retained. I sold everything, so I don't have any fair value. So I will now say less interest in subsidiary disposed of. All right. Okay, so I remember there are three things. So the first thing is, just have a way of putting it in your head: net assets, goodwill, and NCI. Remember at disposal. Okay, so I'll now say net assets of subsidiary at disposal date. I'm ready. Okay, so at disposal date. Okay, so I don't want to eat into that. Okay, so I will now ask the question. Where's my net asset of subsidiary disposal? So it gives me, said, 24. Okay, then I have goodwill at disposal. Okay, so it did not give me figure for my goodwill. So I have somewhere in my notes, and I will say workings. Okay, workings. So what do I want to do? I want to compute my goodwill. So everybody understood, we know how to do goodwill, right? Okay, so I have my dollar here. So how much was my consideration in the question? Okay, when I bought this company, consideration transfer was 2,000. Remember, that was also the cost that we used to compute goodwill, profit on disposal in the individual financial statement. Then he also gave me fair value of NCI. So because this NCI has to be at acquisition, okay? So you need to understand that. So when I add up, I have 2,800. So this is my total. Now say fair value of net assets at acquisition. So fair value of net assets. Don't forget at acquisition, I think is 19, right? So when you remove, you have your goodwill to be 900. So I have goodwill. Okay, so I'll now come here. I have my goodwill here to be 900. Okay, so I'll now say less NCI at what's it called? Disposal. Okay, so I less NCI at disposal. Okay, so how do I get my what's it called? NCI at disposal. Now, this NCI, this 900 that we this 800 that we have here, can you see? Let me do something here for you so that we can understand. So this NCI figure that we have here is at acquisition. Don't forget. Okay, I told you we'll be building momentum. So the NCI I needed here is at disposal. Okay, so what do we do? Let me manage here. to compute NCI. Okay, so let me just manage it. Let me see if I can draw because I can see myself. Let me just pull it out. Okay, fine. So that I can use a space. Okay, so I have NCI here. All right. So what I will do is, what's my NCI, at acquisition? My normal 800, I bring it on. All right. So I will now say NCI will now share post acquisition. So because I have to recognize up to the point of disposal. So I will now say share of post acquisition. Okay, so what is that? My post acquisition, that's the net assets. Okay, so I will say 30% because my NCI is at 30% as a disposal. So multiply by, is it 24 Abby? Yeah, minus 19. Okay, so how did I get out 24? That's net assets at disposal and net asset at acquisition. Is that okay? So if I do that, if you press your calculator, you have something like 150. So if I add this up, I'm going to have, let me see. So if I add up, I'm going to have 950. So this is my NCI at disposal. So I will now come here. I will now say 950. Did you see that? Okay, so I add up. So when I add up, I'm going to have, if you press a calculator there, you have 23550. So you can do this so that I can have 650. Okay, so this 50 is what? Profits on disposal. All right, so that's it. So that's it. So that's what the examiner wanted us to do. So you could see a little bit of complications around that. So any concern from me, any questions? I will pick it up from here tomorrow. Let us so go straight. I'll use the opportunity to also, do more on disposal and see how far we can go. So there's no concern from me. No question. Okay. So please try as much as possible to take a look at them. And if you have issues, I'm always available. Thank you for your time. So I'm going to pick it up from where we stopped today. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful night rest. Take care.